Electron spin resonance spectroscopy. In this lecture, we will discuss the basic concepts of ESR spectroscopy. ESR spectroscopy, this is also known as electron paramagnetic resonance, and it is a branch of spectroscopy in which electromagnetic radiation is absorbed by the molecules, ions, or atoms possessing electrons with unpaired spin, which means that the electronic spin should be more than 0. ESR is similar to nuclear magnetic resonance spectroscopy, and the electromagnetic radiation which is used generally in EPR or ESR spectroscopy is microwave frequency region. Now the differences between NMR and ESR, they are as we have seen in the previous lecture, that NMR we mostly study diamagnetic compounds, whereas in case of ESR it is a study of paramagnetic species, maybe free radicals, metal complexes, then triplet excited states of diamagnetic molecules. Then NMR is based on variation in terms of chemical shift. So we record the NMR and we see the variation of different types of groups in terms of chemical shift. Whereas in case of ESR, we see a similar analogous quantity is G factor. So we will see the G factor for different types of species in case of ESR. Then separating of NMR signal is expressed in terms of coupling constant there, and this is measured in hertz. Whereas in case of ESR spectroscopy, we this is expressed in terms of hyperfine coupling or hyperfine separating constant, and this is either expressed in megahertz or Gauss. Then introduction of ESR spectroscopy. This ESR technique gives us information about the electronic structure of organic compounds, inorganic compounds, biological compounds, then in the solid state, and then surface molecular species. About all these, we get some information from the ESR. And most common examples for studying the ESR spectroscopy are organic free radicals, radicals, triplet excited state, and most transition metals and rare earth species. They are also studied through ESR spectroscopy. As we know that in most of the atoms and molecules, electrons they are paired, and when they are paired, that means they will be diamagnetic, and because of that these paired electrons they do not give ESR signal. So ESR is applicable only to atoms and molecules with unpaired electrons. So we will study ESR only for paramagnetic species or paramagnetic compounds. So for example, for nuclei where the magnetic dipole moment is proportional to the spin angular momentum, then this is the formula by which the magnetic dipole moment can be calculated, where Gn is the nuclear G value, mu n is the nuclear magneton, and H is Planck's constant, and this Gn into mu n, this is generally referred to as gyromagnetic ratio, gamma n, and It is a proportionality constant and it is related to the magnitude of a spin angular momentum to the resulting magnetic moment of the nucleus. Now, a magnetic moment is associated with a spinning charge, and hence an electron behave like a magnet with its pole along the axis of rotation. Uh, we know that electron circulates in the atomic orbit and it induces some magnetic moment, and total magnetic moment associated with the electron is equal to the vector sum of these two magnetic moments which we have discussed over here. Then the ratio of the total magnetic moments to the spin value for a given electron is constant for a particular environment, and this is known as gyromagnetic ratio, and this is also called as spectroscopic splitting factor or Landes G factor. So all three names they are for this quantity only, where we calculate the ratio of the total magnetic moment to the spin value for a given electron in a particular environment. So as these values of magnetic moments, they depend on the structure of the material and differ for various atoms, environments and magnetic fields. So that means for a particular entity there will be a characteristic spectrum, and that spectrum will be known as ESR spectrum, and this technique through which this is calculated is called as ESR spectroscopy. So as I have told you that ESR is applicable only to paramagnetic species. So that means this can be supplied to any species with a non-zero total electron spin. So spin may be half, it may be 1, it may be 3 by 2 and so on. The electron spin energies, they are sensitive to paramagnetic nuclei in molecular environments, particularly in case of hydrogen atoms. Now, uh, we know when there is no magnetic field applied, then free electron may exist in any of the two spin states and their energy will be same. The energy is degenerated. So when external magnetic field is zero, then there is no splitting of the energy levels. Both the uh, spin states, they will have the same energy. However, when we apply some magnetic field, generally in the we apply through microwave frequency, uh, then the electron undergoes precessional motion and degeneracy is removed, giving rise to two spin states. So these two spin states, they have a difference in energy between these two states, and this energy difference is determined by this formula, where gamma is gyromagnetic ratio and G is G factor, this is Bohr magneton, and H is the strength of the external magnetic field which has been applied to the electrons. Now, mathematically, this can be derived like this, that this will be a lower energy state and this will be a higher energy state, and this will be the difference which will be calculated through this one. Then ESR spectrometer. Uh, Nowadays, very sophisticated spectrometers, ESR spectrometers, they are available. But the basic principle of all these instruments, they remain same. Only there are improvements in some resolutions and detection techniques, but basic structure of the spectrometer remains same. And here, the basic principle is based on microwaves which are generated by klystron tube, and this klystron tube is having a power level adjuster, a tuner, through which we will uh, pass on the microwave frequency to the system. The microwaves entering from klystrons, they are routed towards the cavity. This is the cavity where the sample will be mounted. And then microwaves, they reflected back from the cavity are routed through diode detector, and any power reflected from the diode is absorbed completely by the load, and then the spectrum will be detected and recorded, usually as in other instruments like NMR. Then ESR spectrum gives us few important informations, and main information is about the existence of unpaired electrons, then as quantities, type, nature, and surrounding environment and their behavior. And following important informations we can draw from the ESR spectrum. We can have the G value, which will reflect the orbit level occupied by the electron. From G value we can calculate that in which orbit level electron was there. Then we can have information about the line width, which is related to the transverse selection time. Then from ESR we can have information about how many unpaired electrons they are present in the compound or the species or the entity. Then interaction between electron and nuclei, that can be taken care from the ESR spectrum, which is related to the hyperfine structure of the molecule or entity. Then fine structure of the entity can also be taken care from the ESR spectrum, and this gives us the interaction between electron and electron, that what type of interaction between electron and electron they take place. That information is also available on the analysis of ESR spectrum. Then in most of the cases there is no reference used for ESR, taking ESR spectrum, if we know the exact operating frequency of the ESR instrument. But if exact operating frequency of the ESR instrument is not known, then generally DPPH radical is used as the standard reference. 1,1 diphenyl 2-picaryl hydroxyl radical, this one, this is used as a standard reference, and this radical gives 5 distinct sharp peaks, and spectrum is like this, and intensity ratio of these peaks is 1 to 2 is to 3 is to 2 is to 1. So this is the EPR or ESR spectrum of 1 millimolar solution of BPPH in toluene at 20 degrees centigrade. So this spectrum is taken as a standard and standard reference, and based on this, then spectrum of all other compounds they can be recorded. So we can say that this is a kind of calibration if we don't know the exact operating frequency of the ESR instrument, and after taking this spectrum we can calculate the exact operating frequency of the ESR instrument. Then is hyperfine splitting. The unpaired electrons, they are affected by applied magnetic field, as I have told you, and the two spin states, they get into two different energy states, and when the applied magnetic field and the magnetic field generated by the nuclei that interacts with the spin of the nuclei, this leads to hyperfine splitting in the ESR spectrum. And nuclear hyperfine coupling results in multi-line ESR spectrum. This is measured in hertz, and this is given by hyperfine coupling constant A. Different types of hyperfine splittings they take place in ESR spectrum depending upon the number of nuclei or non-equivalent nuclei, this equivalent nuclei or non-equivalent nuclei or delocalized nuclei. So depending upon that how many number of equivalent nuclei are present or non-equivalent nuclei are present or delocalized nuclei are present, the hyperfine splitting will take place in the ESR spectrum. So this is a simpler spectra in comparison to nucleomagnetic resonance spectra, but ESR multiplets, they can be more complex when electron interacts with several high spin nuclei, which we will see in the following examples also. So we will discuss few examples for hyperfine splitting, starting from the most simple one, hydrogen atom. We know that hydrogen atom contains one unpaired electrons and one proton, and we know that electron is having spin 1 by 2 and proton is having nuclear spin 1 by 2. Therefore ms is half, mi is half. And as I have told you that in the absence of magnetic field, electron spin energy levels, they will be degenerate. Both of these, they will have the same energy. But when we will apply external magnetic field, the degeneracy will be removed and sublevel ms plus 1 goes up, while sublevel minus 1 by 2 goes down. So we can see over here, this is minus 1 by 2 splitting due to electron spin, and this is plus 1 by 2. So this goes down, this goes up. So energy of this will be more, energy of this will be less. Now these two energy levels, they will further interact with the nucleus. And when this interaction with the nucleus take place in the presence of external magnetic field, then each sublevel will further give you two sublevels, more sublevels. So that means these two sublevels, they will be converted into these four sublevels of different energy. So the first splitting was due to electron spin only, and the second splitting is due to electron spin as well as nuclear spin interactions. So when electron spin and nuclear spin interactions, they take place, then splitting of the ESR signal will further take place. So first one energy level will be splitted into two, then two will be further split into four energy. Now, then is the case of methyl radical. Uh, Methyl radical, we know, is CH3, and n equivalent nuclei of spin I interact, then number of spectral lines formed will be 2ni plus 1, where n is the number of equivalent nuclei and I is the spin of the nuclei. Now, in case of methyl radical, we know CH3 radical, N is 3, and we know that I in case of proton is half. So 1 by 2, and if we substitute these values, 2 into 3 into 1 by 2, it comes out to be 3 plus 1, 4. So that means the ESR spectrum of methyl radical will give us four lines, and these are the four lines which are seen in the ESR spectrum of methyl radical. Then is some further complex benzoquinone radical anion. So this is the structure of benzoquinone radical anion, and if we see, it is having four protons, and these four protons, because of the symmetrical nature of this molecule, they are four equivalent protons, right? And then that means four equivalent hydrogen atoms, they are there. That means value of n is 4, and we know I is half. So therefore if we substitute the values 2ni plus 1, then it comes out to be 5 lines which will be there in the spectrum. So that is why the spectrum of benzoquinone radical anion is having 5 spectral lines, and relative intensity of these is 1 is to 4 is to 6 is to 4 is to 1. So why these intensities are in this ratio we will discuss in the next slides. Before that, we will do few more examples. Benzene radical anion. If we see, this is the structure for benzene radical anion, and if you see, there are 6 equivalent hydrogen atoms. So therefore, N is equal to 6, I is half, so 6, 2 into 6 into 1 by 2, 6 plus 1, so there will be 7 lines with respect to ESR spectrum of benzene radical Ni, and relative intensity of these 7 lines will be 1 is to 6 is to 15 is to 20 is to 15 is to 6 is to 1. So these intensities, they are based on Pascal diagram, which we will discuss in the subsequent slides. So this is the Pascal triangle on the basis of which intensities of different types of radicals they are there. Now we will discuss a general situation where multiple magnetically equivalent nuclei radicals they are there. So when several magnetically equivalent nuclei are present in a radical, then some of the multiplet lines they are degenerate, resulting in variation in the component intensity. So because of that, what happens is that theoretically there should be more number of lines in the ESR spectrum, but because of this multi-magnetically equivalence, these lines they become degenerate. They absorb same energy and they show the single line only. So that is why there is some variation in the number of lines in the ESR spectrum. So equivalent spin is there in case of proton 1, F19 or P31. In all these the spin is 1 by 2. Uh, Results in multiplets with intensity given by binomial coefficient, that is if there is only one nuclei, then we will have 1:1 intensity. If we have two magnetically equivalent nuclei, then this ratio will be 1 is to 2 is to 1. If there are 3 magnetically equivalent nuclei radical, then the intensity of the signal will be 1 is to 3 is to 3 is to 1. If we are having 4, 1 is to 4 is to 6 is to 4 is to 1. So on, as we move from 4 to 5 to 6 to 7 to 8, the intensity will go on increasing like this, and this can be drawn through this Pascal triangle if we go on increasing the number of equivalent nuclei present in a given radical. And in general, an unpaired electron interacting with nucleus of spin I will give rise to 2I plus 1 lines with intensity given by Pascal triangle. So if as we have seen that if there is one magnetically equivalent nuclear radical, then we will have 1:1 intensity. When we are having two, then this will be 1 to 2 is to 1, because orientations will be like this, that these two lines they will become degenerate, because these two they will give rise to 4, but energy of these two will be same. That is why we will have only 3 spectral lines instead of 4, and these two lines they will have the same energy. That is why the intensity here is 1 is to 2 is to 1. And for the 3 it will be 1 is to 3 is to 3 is to 1, because there the 3 spectral lines they will be degenerated. Here the 3 spectral lines they will be degenerated. We will have only 4 lines instead of more number of spectral lines which are theoretically possible, but these lines they will have the same energy. That is why they will be shown at only one position, but their intensity will be 3 times the intensity of these. Similarly, if we are having 4, 1 is to 4 is to 6 is to 4 is to 1. Here the 4 energy levels they will get degenerate. Here 6 energy sub levels they will get degenerate. Here the 4 sub energy levels they will get degenerate. But the intensity will be 4 times, 6 times, 4 times, and then 1 time. So on the basis of Pascal triangle, we can tell that what will be the intensity of various types of spectral lines in the hyperfine splitting of ESR spectrum. Then is stick diagram. From stick diagram, we can calculate the hyperfine constant, that is A. So the distance between these two spectral lines is known as hyperfine constant, or and this is always constant for these spectral lines. And this can be calculated through this stick diagram for any radical which we have formed through Pascal triangle. Then hyperfine splitting for different equivalent nuclei with different spin. So there may be some cases where we can have different equivalent nuclei, and those nuclei they have different spin. So in such cases, the total ESR spectrum will have lines equal to multiplication of both those factors. So when any species is having m equivalent nuclei with spin I and n equivalent nuclei with spin j, say number of equivalent nuclei they are of two types. One is m, other is n, and their spin is also different. One is having I spin, other is having j spin. Then total number of lines they in the ESR spectrum they can be calculated by this formula: 2mi plus 1 into 2nj plus 1. So we will take one example, that is of naphthalene anion. This is the structure of naphthalene anion, and if you see here we are having 8 protons, right? And their environment is different, and this one m m m and m, these four they are equivalent protons, and these four n n n and n. So that means there are 4 uh, nuclei of one type and 4 nuclei of other type. So if we put the value of m here as 4 and I is half, so that means 2 into 4 into half is equal to 4 plus 1. This quantity comes out to be 5. Similarly, n is also 4 here. N type of nuclei are also 4. 2 into 4 into half. This is also 4 plus 1, 5. So 5 into 5, 25. So that means there will be 25 lines in the naphthalene anion for ESR spectrum. And we will have hyperfine coupling of two set of 4 equivalent protons. And similarly, on the basis of Pascal triangle, we can calculate that this will show the intensity of various peaks in the ESR spectrum will be 1 is to 4 is to 6 is to 4 is to 1, which is for 4 number of equivalent nuclei. Then is another radical anion, anthracene. This is the structure for anthracene, and here we are having three sets of equivalent protons. Set A and B, they consist of four equivalent protons, and set C will have two equivalent protons. These two will be equivalent, these four will be equivalent, and these four will be equivalent. So here uh, it is different from naphthalene. In naphthalene we were having two set of protons. Here we are having three set. Uh, Four protons, one, two, 3 and 4, these are of one kind. Then second category is 1, 2, 3 and 4, these are of type B, and these two, they are of type C. So that means here we have to calculate by multiplying for all the three types of protons. So 4 plus 1 means 2 into 4 into half, it comes out to be 4. 5, this will make 5. Similarly this will make 5. And second is we are having two protons, this will become 3. So if we calculate this comes out to be 75 lines. So in the ESR spectrum of anthracene we will have 75 lines. Then is pyrazine radical anion. This is the pyrazine radical anions. Now we have different nuclei with different spin. In the previous examples, we have seen that nuclei, they were different, but spin was same. Here spin is also different of the different nuclei. So we have to calculate like this. So here we are having two equivalent nitrogens and four equivalent hydrogens. So nitrogen is having I equal to 1, whereas hydrogens, they will have I equal to half. These are four hydrogens and these are two nitrogen. So number of spectral lines will be calculated like this. 2 m, here nitrogen is 2, 2 into 2, and I value of I for nitrogen is 1, so this is 2 into 2 plus 1. Then in case of protons, 2, n is 4, j is half, 2 into 4 into half plus 1, and this comes out to be 25. So in case of pyrazine radical anion, that means we will have 25 lines and we will have quintet of quintet. And in as per Pascal, the intensity will be for 5 equivalent uh, protons. Then applications of ESR spectroscopy. ESR spectroscopy have vast number of applications in different fields of chemistry, biology, physics, and some other engineering branches. So journal applications, say in conducting materials, they are used in case of semiconductors and metals. We can see what kind of defects are present in semiconductor materials. We can have that information from ESR spectrum. Then defects in solids, we can use ESR spectroscopy for knowing the defects in solids. Particularly application has been found in the diamonds. Then we can see the excited states of different types of reactions, particularly with respect to triplet states of radicals and other entities. Then because by studying oxygen radicals, we can see an application in medicine, that we can see the aging of different types of diseases through ESR spectroscopy. Then it finds application in food technology also, that how much oxidation of lipids, oils and fats have taken place. On the basis of ESR spectroscopy, we can tell that how much oil or fat has been degraded by oxidative oxidation reactions. Then This can also be used for EPR imaging, for example, in MRI, this finds application. Then in spin labeling, nitro oxides for biological applications, we can have some information from ESR spectroscopy. Then in spin trapping, we can study the transient intermediates in biology, which can lead to different types of research leading to pharmaceutical chemistry or drug research. Then this has a vast applications in photochemistry also. We can study photochemical reaction mechanism, polymerization reactions, other polymerization techniques. They can be studied kinetically through ESR spectroscopy. Then ESR spectroscopy can also be used for catalysis because changes in charge states they can be studied through ESR spectroscopy. So these are some of the applications and some of the details of applications we can study over here. That electron state of various magnetic materials and semiconductors that can be studied with ESR. Then structure of glass and amorphous materials that can be studied through ESR spectroscopy. We can track catalytic reactions, as I have told you in the previous slide, that changes in charge state, that information we can get from ESR spectroscopy. And then photocatalytic reactivity and photochemical reaction mechanism we can study, that radicals of polymer and polymerization processes like photopolymerization or graft polymerization, that can also be studied through ESR spectroscopy. Then this can be used in polymer resolution also. For example, photolysis, radiolysis, pyrolysis, and chemical decomposition of polymers, they can be studied through ESR spectroscopy. Then active oxygen radicals, as I have told you, that aging of disease in living organisms, that can be studied through ESR spectroscopy. Then oxidative degradation of lipids, that is oils and then petroleum also, we can study through ESR spectroscopy. Then detection of food stuffs exposed to radiation. When they are exposed to radiation, some radicals are formed, and those radicals they can be detected by ESR spectroscopy. So ESR spectroscopy can find application in detection of foodstuffs which are exposed to radiation. Then we can measure the age of fossils, and that means in geological features using lattice effects, we can use ESR for different applications. So this is the book which has been mainly used for preparing this lecture, Chemistry for Engineers by Harish Chopra and Anupam Kumar. And most of the applications which have been discussed over here, they have been found from different internet sources which have been included for the latest applications for ESR spectroscopy. Thank you very much.